Welcome back to the Ross Bolen podcast, presented by Bolen Media. I am Ross Bolen, here today with Kade Orris, a.k.a. Content Kade, a.k.a. Producer Kade.
A.k.a.
What?
Stripper Kade.
Stripper Kade. Oh, yeah, sorry. I left that one off the list.
One, yeah.
Good day, Kade.
Good day, Ross.
We're starting today's show with a classic segment. Let's just jump right into it. No delays, no small talk. It is time.
Grab your light. This is Stop the Wikipedia when you're high.
Stop the Wikipedia when you're high.
Today's Stuff to Wikipedia when you're high is Vesna Vulovic. Hopefully not too many of you listening are actively on an aircraft 30,000 feet in the sky. How many feet up do we go when we're in the 20,000? 30,000? I think it depends on the distance.
In that ballpark, yeah.
Somewhere in there. But this is going to involve scary airplane stuff a little bit. So Vesna Vulovic was a Serbian flight attendant who survived the highest fall ever without a parachute. 6.31 miles through the sky, she fell and survived. She was the sole survivor after an explosion tore through the baggage compartment of JAT Flight 367 on January 26, 1972, causing the plane to crash in Czechoslovakia, now part of the Czech Republic. Air safety investigators attributed the explosion to a briefcase bomb. The Yugoslav authorities suspected that Croatian nationalists were to blame, but no one was ever arrested. Following the bombing, Vulovic spent days in a coma and was hospitalized for several months. She suffered a fractured skull, 3 broken vertebrae, broken legs, broken ribs, and a fractured pelvis. It sounds like she broke everything, kind of. And these injuries resulted in her being temporarily paralyzed from the waist down. Vulovic did make an almost complete recovery, but continued to walk with a limp, like a pimp. She had no memory of the incident and had no qualms about flying in the aftermath of the crash, which is mind-boggling to me. I don't think I would ever get on an airplane again if I was on one that exploded, causing me to fall 6.31 miles to breaking every bone in my body. But to each their own. Despite her willingness to resume work as a flight attendant, JAT Airways gave her a desk job negotiating freight contracts, feeling her presence on flights would attract too much publicity. So not only did she not have a problem with flying ever again, she wanted to go back to work as a flight attendant. And the airline was like, no, this is a bad idea. We don't want people on every flight to be looking at you and thinking about how that one flight exploded. So they put her on a desk job negotiating freight contracts. She became a celebrity in Yugoslavia and was deemed a national hero. Just a strange thing to become a hero for.
Yeah, it's not like she really did anything heroic. She
got really lucky.
Yeah, a survivor.
Just very, 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 very fortunate that she didn't die. Vulovic was later fired from JAT in the early 1990s after taking part in anti-government protests during the breakup of Yugoslavia, but avoided arrest as the government was concerned about the negative publicity that her imprisonment would bring. So I guess she had that going for her. She continued her work as a pro-democracy activist until the Socialist Party of Serbia was ousted from power during the old bulldozer revolution of October 2000. Vulovic later campaigned on behalf of the Democratic Party, advocating Serbia's entry into the European Union, and her final years were spent in seclusion, and she struggled with survivor guilt. Having divorced, Vulovic lived alone in her Belgrade apartment on a small pension until her death in 2016. I feel like it's kind of fucked up to call her out on, like, her final years were spent in seclusion. Like, that's often the case. Like, for a lot of people, they, you know, your husband or your wife passes away from old age, and then you just kind of linger on for a while.
Yeah, and they just had to mention the divorce too.
Golly.
She was just so lonely in her final years.
This woman fell 6 miles from the sky and survived, and that's the way we throw in her final memories. Brutal. So how did she survive a 6.31 mile fall is obviously the question that we all have. It says Vulovic was the only survivor of the 28 passengers and crew. She was discovered by a villager named Bruno Honky, who heard her screaming amid the wreckage. Good fun. Her turquoise uniform was covered in blood, and her stiletto heels had been torn off by the force of the impact. And it says that Honky had been a medic during the Second World War and was able to keep Vulovic alive until rescuers arrived. Again, very fortunate. Air safety investigators attributed Vulovic's survival to her being trapped by a food trolley in the DC-9's fuselage as it broke away from the rest of the aircraft and plummeted towards the ground. When the cabin depressurized, the passengers and other flight crew were blown out of the aircraft and fell to their deaths. Investigators believed that the fuselage, with Vulovic pinned inside, landed at an angle in a heavily wooded and snow-covered mountainside, which cushioned the impact. So she wasn't like free-falling through the sky,
Right.
just like, woo, which is what I was imagining when I first read this. Like, holy, how could you possibly...
Yeah, I don't think anyone could.
Yeah, so she got really, really lucky that this food trolley trapped her inside this fuselage when it broke away, and then it just happened to land at an angle where it didn't just explode. She somehow survived. So it says Vulovic's physicians concluded that her history of low blood pressure caused her to pass out quickly after the cabin depressurized and kept her heart from bursting on impact, which I didn't realize was a thing. But apparently, yeah, she said she was aware of her low blood pressure before applying to become a flight attendant and knew it would result in her failing her medical examination, so she drank an excessive amount of coffee beforehand to trick the test.
Yeah, trying to pass the drug test, but like doing the opposite.
Yes, exactly. And she got accepted. Vulovic stated that her ordeal had turned her into an optimist. She said, quote, "If you can survive what I survived, you can survive anything." Which, yeah, but also like mathematically, like what happened to you is one of the most ridiculously lucky things in the history of man. Like everybody else on this plane died and you fell 6 miles trapped inside a fuselage pinned down by a fucking food cart.
And you have all that to thank because of low blood sugar.
Yeah.
Or pressure.
Low blood pressure, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You know, it's a shame that Mark Wahlberg wasn't on this flight because he probably could have stopped that bomb from going off.
That's right.
So
He could have, while not masturbating.
yeah.
He would have kept this whole thing from happening.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't. So only one survivor.
Yeah, no, he's in the Marky Mark and Funky Bunch at that time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He was. And as a result, you know, what's her name? Vulovic?
Yeah.
She's just spends her final years in seclusion and struggles with survivor's guilt and gets a divorce and dies alone.
And still has low blood pressure.
In 2016. 2016, not that long ago, you know?
No, she lived a full life.
Yeah, you can do the math. That's 7 years. 7 years ago, she passed away. Anyway, crazy story. I was supposed to be on a flight as we speak to Wisconsin for J-Bone's big nuptials, his wedding day. But RJ, baby RJ, not doing so hot. He started teething really, really hard, which like they drool a ton and they're super uncomfortable and like you almost can't tell if it's like a cold or they're teething. And then on top of teething, he got sick. Again, this is like the third time this month that one kid or the other has gotten sick. And anyway, he's in terrible shape. So we were not about to travel all the way to Wisconsin, have a connecting flight both ways. We would have gotten through like 10 minutes of the wedding before he started screaming. And
You're telling me you don't want to go on a flight with a teething sick baby? That sounds... Sure, that doesn't sound like a pleasant time.
No, and I would have spent the entire flight thinking about Vulovic and her food cart and how she died in seclusion all alone. Anyway, a wild story, crazy story. And the Guinness Book of World Record holder for longest fall without a parachute, 6.31 miles, Vesna Vulovic. Today's episode is brought to you by Liquid IV. Proper functional hydration is essential, and Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. That's why before every workout and before I go to bed, I make sure to mix a stick of Liquid IV in with my water so I'm hydrated 2 times faster than I would be with water alone. Plus, I get essential vitamins and 3 times the electrolytes as leading sports drinks. Liquid IV's hydration multiplier is the one product you are missing in your daily routine. And huge news, Liquid IV, the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, is now available in sugar-free. Years in the making, Hydration Multiplier Sugar-Free uses a proprietary zero-sugar hydration solution with no artificial sweeteners. You can also keep your daily hydration routine exciting with 3 new flavors from Liquid IV: white peach, green grape, and lemon lime. We have a massive supply of Liquid IV here at Bolen Media in the office, which makes us perhaps the most hydrated media company in the entire world. Not only is Liquid IV incredibly effective as a hydration tool, it tastes phenomenal as well. Comes in a variety of great flavors like Concord grape, lemon lime, pina colada, tropical punch, watermelon, strawberry, passion fruit, and more. 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. It contains 5 essential vitamins: B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C with 3 times the electrolytes of leading sports drinks. No artificial sweeteners and zero sugar with a proprietary amino acid, a loose blend, for a sweet taste without the calories or raised blood glucose levels you get from sugar. Made with quality ingredients, non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. Also, Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. They partner with leading organizations to fund and foster innovative solutions that help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50-plus countries around the world. Real people, real flavor, real hydrating. Grab your Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code ROSS at checkout. That's 20% off anything when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code ROSS at liquidiv.com. I've got a few insane headlines of the day. The first one is 95% of NFTs are now worthless. Kade, do you remember NFTs?
I do.
Didn't you get one of those Bored Apes?
Yeah, I got a couple of them.
At peak prices?
Yeah, they're really doing hot right now.
Yeah, no, not so much, it turns out. From Petapixel, a new report shows that the non-fungible token, NFT, market has essentially collapsed, and nearly all NFTs are practically worthless. It says, as seen on Insider, a study investigated 73,257 NFT collections, which just frankly is too many collections. How are there that? There's too many. Anyway, 69,795 of those now have a market value of 0 ETH.
Have to imagine the other 4,000 aren't doing too hot either still.
I don't think they're at their, I don't think they've gone up in value now. I think they've gone down quite a bit. I feel like a lot of rappers got roped into this.
Yeah, they all had the Bored Ape profile pics for a while.
Those are all a massive loss. It says the guy who wrote that column, Dap Gamble, which why can't you just have a normal name? The hype around NFTs peaked in the 2021-22 bull run that saw nearly $2.8 billion in monthly trading volume recorded in August of 2021. Think about that. From $2.8 billion in a single month to the entire market collapsing in just over 2 years. It says, from this, NFTs captured the collective imagination worldwide with multiple news reports of million-dollar deals for sales of certain NFT assets. Like, people were shelling out crazy money for these things. Crazy money. I think, like, the most expensive one purchased was, like, I don't know, 80 million or something like that. Something insane what people were throwing down on these. It says the vast majority of NFTs are now worthless based on the research. 95% of people holding NFT collections own an asset with no real value. Dap Gamble believes that this means that more than 23 million people's investments are now worthless. Which, look, NFTs got made fun of a lot, even at the height of an NFT. Remember the whole, like, I could just screenshot this, and now do I own it too? And people are like, no, you don't have the blockchain. It's on the blockchain. And, like, J-Bone was a big into the whole, like, crypto market and all of that. I think he bought a digital pony at one point. I'm sure that's been put down and turned into glue. But a lot of people were really fascinated by this, thought it was super interesting. And I think a big part of it, similarly, to crypto in general, was that, like, once you've seen some people make a bunch of money with something, you're like, well, I could do it if they can do it. So all these artists were, like, dedicated to NFTs for a while. And now the only people peddling them 2.5 years later is, like, Melania Trump.
Yeah, I wonder how her NFTs are doing.
Not well.
It
turns out. She's selling them for like $75 and still
Hey, that's a bargain.
Nobody's buying them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I looked up the most expensive NFT sold, and it's called The Merge for $91.8 million.
Like, how fucking stupid do you feel if that was you? Maybe not at all, because you have to be so filthy rich that
It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter. But, like, that's so much money, man.
Yeah.
90 plus mil on a silly digital piece of art that has probably gone down 80% in value since then or something.
And it's just a fucking white sphere. Like, look at that.
Oh,
That's
my
what they
God.
bought.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. 91 milli, man. Unbelievable. Anyway, thoughts and prayers to everybody listening who participated in the NFT craze and bought into the market.
Hey, there's never a better time to get in on it now. Yeah,
Yeah, we're going to start the resurgence.
absolutely.
Respect the NFT market. Get in there. Invest. It's clearly a safe play that all the brilliant minds of our world are participating in. Next headline. Marine Corps F-35 jet fighter lost in jet fighter. The jet you heard about this, right?
No.
You didn't hear about this?
No.
So the Marines lost an F-35 fighter jet in a mishap, and here's part of the story from the Wall Street Journal. An advanced Marine Corps F-35B jet fighter, I guess it is jet fighter, went missing Sunday after a mishap forced a pilot to eject near Charleston, South Carolina. The pilot was being treated at a local medical center, but the plane itself, which has a unit cost of almost $90 million, so slightly less than one NFT, couldn't be found as of Sunday evening, a spokesperson from Joint Base Charleston said. So, to catch you up with what we've said so far, F-35 fighter jet cruising along through the sky, pilot ejects himself, plane keeps flying, nobody knows where it is. Real story with our military, our actual Marines. So, emergency response teams are trying to locate the plane, said Senior Master Sergeant Heather Stanton. The Marine Corps couldn't provide any other information on the matter, which was kind of terrifying. Like, as this story was unfolding, I was like, well, you tell me there's just an F-35 just cruising around the country right now? And I saw that new Mission Impossible movie. What if AI takes it over and just starts bombing shit? Seemed dangerous.
It's a possibility.
You know? It says the jet was assigned to a Marine Corps training squadron. The Joint Base sent a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, asking the public to call the base if they found the aircraft. The Marine Corps said it was gathering information on the matter and would be conducting an investigation. First of all, I have to imagine that the pilot who ejected himself from the plane and allowed it to continue flying on by itself, there's got to be some kind of like a dishonorable discharge situation there, right? You can't put a $90 million F-35 just into orbit around the United States without a pilot and not get kicked out.
Why doesn't it just go straight down? Why is it still just cruising?
So it sounded like, or maybe they haven't released all this information yet, but through all the articles I read, at first the suspicion was that it was on autopilot. So he forgot to disengage autopilot, or maybe it's protocol to leave autopilot on. I do not know. But then they later said they're not sure that's the case. So I don't really understand it. But then to get to our next headline, missing F-35 jet was flying inverted before crash, eyewitnesses say. So it pulled the old Tom Cruise in the first Top Gun, flying upside down, shooting the middle finger at people. From NBC News, a South Carolina couple had been celebrating their son's 7th birthday on Sunday afternoon when they looked up to the skies. A fighter jet, see why is it fighter jet now instead of jet fighter, was flying above them in an inverted position, they said, before they heard a boom moments later. Quote from Adrian Trueluck, who was one of the people. Our kids always give a little salute. So we said, look at the plane. Oh my gosh, it's so low. And it was kind of probably 100 feet above the treetops and almost going inverted. It was probably 3/4 of the way, added her husband, Stephen Trueluck, as he gestured with his hand. We could see the canopy of the plane, he said. They didn't think much of it at the time because Shaw Air Force Base is about 60 miles away, so apparently it's not all that uncommon for them to see jets. But after learning an F-35 fighter jet had gone missing and that a debris field was found Monday just miles from their home in rural Williamsburg County, they realized what they saw likely wasn't just any aircraft. So they happened to spot the pilotless F-35 cruising by upside fucking down. And then it fortunately sounds like it crashed into an area that didn't cause any loss of life. Just 90 mil.
Just 90 million. Yeah.
One
down
NFT.
the drain.
Gone. Boom. Forever. Anyway, pretty discomforting information that we're just throwing
Yeah, I really hope
trainees
no one's on
into-
a flight today because a lot of
bad plane stuff.
Yeah.
Bad plane juju. But we're just throwing trainees into $90 million jets and not reminding them to, not hit the ejector button.
Yeah, what was they didn't say what the mishap was.
I don't think they're going to come out and explain it to the public, because it can't sound better. I think the story can only sound worse the more detail they provide. So this is just another one of those things like the tiny Mexican aliens that they'll keep secret from us. Yeah. We got one more headline. Here it is. Oakland Athletics give Miguel Cabrera $90 bottle of wine as a retirement gift. So slightly over one Melania Trump NFT spent on this bottle of wine. Miggy, as he is known, I think he's on the Detroit Tigers, and I'm pretty confident he has been his entire career. Future Hall of Famer. He's doing his victory lap this year.
Yeah.
Where everybody knows he's retiring. This is it. He's a legendary ball player, and he's getting gifts from each team. So I'll read you a little bit of the story from USA Today because it gets, if you're like, oh wow, they really cheaped out $90. Oh, just wait. It gets so much worse. Future Hall of Fame slugger Miguel Cabrera is nearing his retirement from the MLB, and he is now receiving some love in his final professional games. It says on USA Today, it's not uncommon practice to provide something nice for a legend before they transition into retirement. The Guardians, Kade's baseball team,
Go us.
gave him a custom guitar as a nod to the nearby Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, for example. Nice present. On Thursday night, meanwhile, the A's honored Cabrera with a Cabernet Sauvignon from Camus Vineyards. It was nice of the team to honor the 12-time All-Star and 2-time AL MVP, but a little more thought may have gone a long way. Cabrera spent 3 months in an outpatient treatment program to focus on getting sober in 2010. He faced legal issues due to his drinking in 2009 and again in 2011. When the Tigers won their division in 2012, out of respect for his sobriety, the team made sure to have non-alcoholic champagne available. Still, though, Cabrera excused himself from the celebration, meaning he didn't even want to be around people spraying champagne and get it on him or whatever. Which, as somebody who is sober, I understand. It's an uncomfortable thing. I'm not sure I would want to be in there getting doused with alcohol. As recently as last year, it says, when he recorded the 3,000th hit of his career, which is a massive milestone, he celebrated with a glass of non-alcoholic champagne. The A's really could have used just an extra second of research to make sure they respected his sobriety. So not only are the Oakland A's the laughing stock of Major League Baseball, the most poorly run organization, bar none, in the league, with fans showing up to every game, holding up signs like, sell the fucking team, you're an embarrassment. They're giving out $90 bottles of wine to sober players with drinking problems as they head out into retirement. Here you go. $90, bro?
Yeah, that's
not enough. And also,
they couldn't have balled out just a little bit.
I mean, come on, guys. That's I know, moderately successful middle class folks who buy a $90 bottle for their anniversary and shit. The organization's worth billions of dollars. The Oakland A's. They spent $90 on Miggy Cabrera's retirement wine that he can't even drink, and I feel like this makes it worse, not better. They had the whole team sign it. The worst team in baseball. Here you go.
I feel like that's just going straight in the trash.
Throw this thing up on the shelf. When they handed it to him on his way off the field, he pretended to chug it, jokingly.
Yeah.
which made me uncomfortable. I was like, oh, God, they're going to knock him off the wagon. Now, this is where it gets even worse, somehow. Oakland, however, isn't the only team to make this sort of mistake, the column says. The Marlins, where he played from 2003 to 2007 and where he won his only World Series, got Cabrera a bottle of rum. Houston, my Astros, got a bottle of wine for him as well, but at least that one was a touch more personal as it was from the vineyard that Astros manager Dusty Baker owns, which still I don't feel like makes it better.
No, dude, people not like, they didn't search it.
This fucking shit happened to me the other day, and granted, it was from a neighbor who doesn't know me, but like we let a neighbor borrow something for like a baby thing. I can't even remember what it was, but we had something that they were looking for in like the neighborhood group text or whatever, and my wife let them borrow it, and they broke it, shockingly. And we didn't care, we didn't need it, but they brought over a bottle of wine, like a nice bottle of wine, probably nicer than the one that Miggy got from the Oakland A's, to say thank you. And like we don't drink, like neither of us drink. My wife is not like sober like I am. Like she'll have like, but she's breastfeeding, she's been pregnant, and she rarely drank before that even. So we're just like, what the fuck are we gonna? So we gotta just pay it forward. We'll just re-gift it.
I'll take it. I'll take it off your hands.
That's true. I know you'll take it.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I'll bring it over here on Monday.
Oh yeah.
But it says the A's almost predictably didn't have as much to offer in the mindfulness department. If you were wondering if this is some kind of vintage wine that could have value, the results show you that he could have gotten his hands on his own at the same size from the same year for around $90, man. I would rather you give me nothing if I'm Miguel Cabrera than a $90 bottle of wine I can't drink. It almost comes off as a sarcastic slap in the face.
Should have just gotten him a Melania Trump NFT.
Seriously, that would at least be entertainingly funny.
Yeah.
Like, that would at least be a good laugh.
Yeah. But shout out to the Guardians for actually putting some thought into that. I also saw the Dodgers gave him like a one of the stars or like the Hollywood.
Oh, a Walk of Fame star? That's tight.
Yeah.
That's a cool gift. Yeah, and it's like, look, it's if you're like, well, they didn't know or they wouldn't have known. No. When he was at the height of his career is when he was having very public and legal problems revolving around alcohol. Like, people in baseball know he doesn't drink.
Yeah. Like the Marlins should have known better.
Absolutely. He played for them. But they gave him rum. It's almost like insisting someone fall off the wagon to give them drinks. It's fucking weird and hilarious all the same. And he seemed to have a good sense of humor about it. But I know the feeling. And I mean, at a much smaller level, I know the feeling. Right. If I am at my retirement age and someone I know close gives me alcohol as my celebratory gift, I will break it over their head. Like, come on. Unbelievable. Anyway, good stuff. Speaking of sports, if you're looking for a place to place your bets this football season, look no further than today's sponsor, MyBookie. As a bettor, you demand perfection, and MyBookie delivers NFL, college football, and a brand new cash-out system gives you multiple options to bet and win all season long. First two legs of your parlay hit, cash out early and use the funds on another bet, or let it ride for the chance at a bigger payday. Join the MyBookie family for an entire season filled with odds, boosts, free bets, and super contests. To get started, go to mybookie.ag now and register for an account free. When you're ready to make your first deposit, just use code ROSS to grab a welcome bonus on the house. That's promo code ROSS to claim your deposit bonus and, for a limited time, a free chip to use in the MyBookie casino as well. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Baseball season, we've got like 9 games left, most teams, 9-10 games before the postseason starts. It's going to be an exciting one and an exciting final several games of baseball here. Obviously, the NFL and college football are both in full swing. So what are you waiting for? If you're already betting on a sports site elsewhere and you're down to do so on a great platform that also supports your favorite podcast, code Ross when you deposit at mybookie.ag is the way to do it, folks. Just use code Ross to unlock that welcome deposit bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. This week, Kade and I have a present for all of you who aren't already a part of making sure this podcast continues to exist by subscribing on Patreon and supporting our show. Special thanks, by the way, to everyone on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast, who is a huge part of making sure that Kade and I don't have to go become full-time bachelorette party strippers. If you're not subscribed on Patreon, just consider how selfish it is that it could be your fault this show becomes financially deficient and forces Kade and I to become sex workers, and how you're literally missing half of the episodes we do every week by not being on Patreon. Every week on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast, we put a full-length, ad-free episode out comprised of all new content exclusively available on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. Today, we are sharing over half of last week's Patreon exclusive episode with you in hopes that more of you will subscribe on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast and support the show, because we are dangerously close to dropping below 600 subscribers, which would, in fact, force Kade and I to become permanent bachelorette party strippers, and my second wife will probably leave me. You don't want that on your conscience. So enjoy this free taste of Patreon content and consider the implications of your refusal to support us. How many cups of coffee do you have a day?
Just one.
Just the one?
Mm-hmm. I do it after I work out.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't have it before the gym? Mm-mm. It's probably a smart move.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really need it when I wake up.
I do.
Yeah, well,
so badly.
Again, that makes sense because completely different household.
Yeah, it's 7:30 in the morning when I wake up usually.
But I wake up
Best case scenario.
at 7:32.
You do get up shockingly early.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I can't go back to sleep, so I'm like, all right, I'll just get up and
sometimes
go on about my day.
I'll put up shit on social media at like 8.
Yeah.
And I'll see you've liked it already, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Just because if it was me, like, there's no way. Like, back when I was working and childless and only had the 2 dogs to worry about, like, I never, ever got up before 8:30. Like, 8:30 was early as fuck for me back in the day.
Like, I just can't sleep in past 7:30 anymore. I don't know. Like, I woke up at 6 today, and I just couldn't go back to bed.
What time did you go to sleep last night?
Don't
lie.
Like 11.
11?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you fell asleep earlier than me. I had trouble last night. This is rare for me, but last night I was just laying there staring at the ceiling, which is the worst. It's one of the things I hate most in life, when you have a night where you can't fall asleep.
Were you just like thinking about
Not
random
really,
shit, or
no.
just
I was
like...
just fucking... it wasn't even that. It wasn't even like I had a bunch on my mind. I was just laying there like a slug. Couldn't fall asleep. No freaking clue why. It was annoying, though.
Yeah, that happens to me sometimes, but it's mostly because I'm just thinking about just the most random shit ever.
It's life.
Yeah, life.
Complicated, bloody life.
Mm-hmm. And the Roman Empire.
I've been seeing that, obviously, the last several days go viral on social media, that men, apparently it was like a TikTok, I think, that started it. This girl asking her boyfriend how often he thinks about the Roman Empire, and he says, like, I don't know, like a few times a week or something like that. And that then it's been going nuts on Twitter or X, for several days now. And I wasn't even gonna like respond to that or acknowledge it, because I never think about the Roman Empire.
Yeah,
I was like, am I a moron or something? Like, why are all these other dudes thinking about the Roman Empire so much?
I do not get that. Yeah.
Are all these other guys worried about like getting stabbed in the back like Caesar did or something? I just...
Like, what is there to think about?
I don't know. Like, last night, I finally had a moment where I thought about it, and it was because I was thinking about the movie Gladiator. So I tweeted, like, does that count? Does this count? Like, is that what y'all mean? Because otherwise, why are all these fucking dorks sitting around thinking about the Roman Empire? I think about the Egyptians a lot more than I think about the Roman Empire.
I think about aliens more than the Roman Empire.
Well, you have to nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, they're always out there. I mean, Mexico, they just dropped a new alien.
Bring him out in the cart, dude. Totally new alien colorway dropped. Yeah, that shit is fake as hell. That looked... I don't know what the fuck that was that they dug up, but... if those are aliens, then we can just wipe the slate clean of like alien fear, because those little dudes aren't doing shit.
No,
you could punt one of those things 30 fucking yards. So I'm not concerned.
Bruce
about
and
the
Bella
aliens.
could take them pretty
Seriously,
easily.
yeah. The smaller dogs of our world could take down those aliens. Yeah. So unless they've got like the one thing I do worry about is if those little dudes that they rolled out in the cart in Mexico, like here they are, if those little dudes harness technology and it's like they're in big suits. You know what I'm saying? Like a big mech fucking robot or something.
You just like see a little head. Yeah.
Because that's what they've got to have that going on if they're that small. Otherwise,
I mean, it did seem like it had a pretty big brain on it.
Yeah.
So.
But it looked too much like a knockoff ET.
I was about to say, it looked like if E.T. and the little like stick aliens from Men in Black like had a baby.
Alien baby?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty good. The stick aliens from Men in Black were perverts, weren't they? Weren't they like
yeah,
real
they were
perverted?
something a little off with them.
Yeah, we got to hope that's not the case with the aliens too. Anyway, we got a lot of hotline calls today on 888 WR Bolen, so let's start working our way through them. Here's our first.
What's up, guys? This is John up in Michigan, long-time listener, first-time caller. Catching up on the latest Patreon episode here, talking about the gender reveal parties reminded me of a quick story. 2 friends of mine are pregnant, and they found out that they're having twins, and now they're just basically asking for betting lines on whatever we want. Total weight of the kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, 1 of each, stuff like that. Wanted to see if you guys had any other ideas on stuff we could gamble on. All right, keep doing what you're doing. See you guys.
Oh, I got some ideas, John. I got some ideas. Here's the first one off the top of my head. Penis length if it's a boy. I don't know what you do with the girl.
Yeah, no, there's not much there.
Nothing to measure.
Yeah.
And I know it's inappropriate. I don't care. It's funny to me. That's fun. That's a cool way to make like a gender reveal party a little spicier, and because nobody's gonna die off of a bet.
No, but you could have a bet how many people will die. Yeah.
How many deaths there will be at the gender reveal. It's like a Dothraki wedding in Game of Thrones. If there's not at least 2 deaths, it's considered a dull affair.
Well, they are having twins, so that means there has to be two deaths. Yeah.
Because only death can pay for life
Right.
to keep it in the Game of Thrones universe. Let's see. Real things you could bet on. Like 10 fingers, 10 toes. And that line would need to be pretty large, like, because the odds are they're gonna have 10 of each.
Yeah.
So it's got to be like minus 1,500 or something.
What about like if they're like conjoined?
Oh, that's a good one. Minus 10,000 on
Yeah.
conjoined twins. I love that.
Wouldn't it be plus?
No, it's minus. Or wait.
Because I feel like that's
Okay, yeah. Plus 10,000 that they are conjoined twins.
Yeah.
So you put down $100 to win $10,000.
Yeah.
If they come out conjoined, you've just hit a lick.
You could do like the time it takes.
Yeah.
Like,
the birth time,
Yeah.
the labor
Yeah.
time. Yeah, that's a good
or
one.
like in between births too.
Oh yeah, I like that. Cade's all fucking
I'm on fire
great.
right
You're
now.
a great baby gambler, Cade. We should have had you do this for my son's birth.
I'll be the baby bookie.
Hair color, birth hair color, eye color. That's a good one. You actually, well, the eye color one would have shitty odds because did you know almost all babies are born with blue eyes?
And then they change.
Some of them change, and it can be at like any point from like 9 months to like 3 years or something crazy
Yeah.
like that their eye color can change. Like RJ's eyes are a beautiful blue hue still, and I hope they don't change, but it's possible that they will, according to science. I looked it up on Google.
And Google's
So,
never wrong.
No.
Could also do the race of the babies.
Yeah. Factor in the milkman, man.
Yeah.
Like you never know, dude.
You never know.
You never know until it comes out. And on that note, funny story. When RJ was born, because when they come out, if you do a vaginal birth, to get even more scientific for you, if it's not a C-section, they go through the birth canal, right? And that shit it's a very small tunnel with a large baby going through it. So they get squished. Their heads come out kind of like Arnold,
Yeah.
like a football head. But when he came out, his face was all squished together and whatnot for the first, really like couple days of his life before it starts to like take its more permanent shape. And he looked pretty Asian. And like I sent a picture to Brandon, our lawyer, my buddy, and he was like, "Hey, your baby's Asian," and that made it worse because it was already in my head. I was just like, "Why does he look Asian? Like neither of us is Asian." And I was a little freaked out for a couple days there.
Yeah.
It's just
But then it stretched out. And you're
yeah.
like,
Now
okay.
now he looks like a regular, very pasty white guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a couple days he looked pretty Asian, and that was weird. Man, I think we did came up with a lot of good bets.
Yeah. And then I would do C-section, or just out the.
Yeah, a lot of
vagina.
this is going to depend on how cool the mom is.
Yeah.
With making lines about anything, because it's her life hanging in the balance.
Yeah.
Like what? No, I'm not going to take it as far as I was about to. But yeah, no, you could have fun with this. You could really have fun with this. Now you need somebody responsible you need somebody really irresponsible who is a degenerate gambler and understands betting lines to set the lines.
Yeah. So
that they're fair and equal. Otherwise, whoever's backing this situation, whoever's operating as the house, Vegas, is going to get screwed. It can't just be 50-50 odds on the crazy shit we just came up with.
Right.
So have your mathematician work those lines and make them fair. Good call, John, and enjoy the baby gambling party. That's a way better idea than just doing a regular gender reveal. Have a party, set lines, people place bets, and then there's the wait that builds anticipation between the party and the birth.
Yeah.
And then on the day of the birth, everybody's going to be hitting up the dad like, what color is it?
What race is it?
Are they conjoined? Are they conjoined? People are going to want to know if they hit their bets or not. Good stuff. Next call.
Ross, Kade, what's up? This is Connor from Savannah, Georgia. I just got a quick one for you. So I just saw this video of piranhas, and it reminded me that, like, growing up, I used to be terrified of piranhas. I feel like it was way more in the media. People were talking about, piranhas and scared of piranhas and stuff like that. And, like, it just kind of fell off, I guess. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking about. Gang, gang, gang.
Thank you, Connor from Savannah. Yeah, look, the fact of the matter is the MSM, the mainstream media, does not report on piranhas like they once did. It's very rare you see a piranha story anymore. And there's probably a legitimate, very evil reason behind why they don't want us to be thinking about piranhas as much as we used to. Because certainly I feel like piranhas were a pretty big shtick in like cartoons, movies and stuff when I was a little kid in the 90s.
Yeah, they made a couple like piranha movies in the early 2000s.
They made some horror movies,
Yeah.
like one of those idiotic horror movies, kind of like Sharknado style,
Yeah.
but about piranhas. And since then they've kind of fallen off the map, per se, if you will. And I don't know. We need to do some digging here. This is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, what happened to all of them?
What happened to the piranhas?
Well, apparently most of them are in South America, so we don't have to worry about them as much.
That's part of it for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like we've become more and more selfish as a nation. We only worry about we can only focus on so many problems at once, and we've got a lot of them here.
Yeah.
And we can't be worried about piranhas all the time.
Yeah, they're
too.
pretty low on the list right now.
Yeah. Yeah, like gender reveal deaths are probably more frequent than piranha deaths, or like people getting eaten by piranhas at this point.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's just not that important that we think about piranhas, or maybe it's a massive global conspiracy theory for us all to forget about piranhas so that they can take over the world.
Yeah. Well, apparently on January 6th, there's a piranha attack in Paraguay that left 4 dead.
January 6th, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Big day for January 6th.
Starting to line up.
Yeah.
Things are starting to line up. It is a conspiracy.
And it just, I looked up piranha deaths per year, and I'm just not getting anything.
What was the, it's like, how were the piranhas connected to the insurrection?
Yeah.
That's the
Where's the
question
link? Yeah.
that I think Tucker Carlson needs to do an episode on next. Did you see? I don't think we've brought this up. Did you see he went on this like really, he did like a long interview with this man who claimed to have like a gay crack-fueled affair with Barack Obama? No. I swear to God. Not kidding. Tucker Carlson, who now his show is hosted by Elon Musk's X. Or that's where it's platformed anyway. He did an episode interviewing this dude who claimed to have had an affair with Barack, I think in the 80s, and they like smoked crack and got gay together. And there is no like legitimate evidence. It's just completely based on this one idiot making this story up in all likelihood. And Tucker did a full episode on it, and people were irate irate. Because this is what he does, though. This is like part of his strategy. He'll cover like things that seem like they could be completely legitimate, although they're often just conspiracy theories. And then he'll switch modes to completely ridiculous. Obama might be gay. This is fucking 2 presidents ago. Like, we've had 2 presidents since Obama, and he's still stuck on Obama and whether or not he smokes crack and gets gay, which is frankly nobody's business. You know?
No, who cares if Brock wanted to smoke a little crack and,
Get a little gay.
Get a little gay.
To each his own.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it was the 80s. Everyone was doing it.
That's true. Everybody was smoking crack and getting gay in the 80s. A lot of that was going on. Anyway, good call, Connor. Next.
Ross, I watched the Bongos music video, Ross. They scissor in the video, Ross.
That was it. That was the entire call. Yeah, so I mentioned, I think, week before last, that I was going to go watch the Bongos music video when the episode ended. And I watched it, and they do indeed scissor Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. Have you not watched the Bongos music video, Kade?
No. Do I need to pull that up after?
What would it take to get you to watch a Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion
No, really
video?
not much.
How did this not hook you?
I don't know. Like, it didn't cross my mind. I completely forgot they dropped that song.
Talking
actually.
shit like you know me. I ride dick like a pony, girl. Cardi B is an absurd human being in pretty much every possible way.
Yeah.
But the music video is really something.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
There's a lot of twerking going on.
Yep, makes sense.
But then they scissor.
Okay, so yeah, I do need to check that out. But I will tell you, the actual greatest music video ever is Side to Side by Ariana Grande and Nicki Minaj.
Okay.
That is probably the best music video I've ever seen.
Does that mean best music video to pleasure yourself to?
Yes.
Okay. I think mine was Beyonce and Shakira, and I don't even know the name of the song, but there's only one Beyonce and Shakira song, and the music video they made for that occupied a lot of my time when I was in high school.
Beautiful Liar.
There it is. Beautiful Liar.
But they have 2.
What?
One is called Can't Remember to Forget something.
Nope, not that one. Beautiful Liar is the one you want to go with.
Okay.
You do that in bongos back to back. It's the same thing as taking a Blue Chew for a Diamond Rock Hard boner.
Yeah.
If you weren't around during the Blue Chew era, I apologize for the joke that you don't get. Just suffice it to say that at one point we were sponsored by Blue Chew, who provided Diamond Rock Hard boners. And I literally said that in the ad read every week for like a month. And then they were gone.
How's the conversion rate on that?
Just as quickly as they came. I don't actually know. I'm assuming not great because they didn't renew.
You don't want a rock hard.
Look, man, every time we get a new sponsor, they send us like samples. Like, Bird Dogs will send us a box of Bird Dogs. What else? Trade Coffee sent us like some coffee.
Liquid IV.
Liquid IV, for whatever reason, just won't stop sending product. Like, I got a text message from Daniel Bruce yesterday.
Yeah.
The skateboard into furniture guy, asking me if I still he said, quote, "Are you still plugged up with Liquid IV?" Because they send us so much that we're literally just giving it away. Like, sometimes I'll grab like 4 bags and drive them over to my buddy's house and drop them off. We're like throwing them at Barrett when he's here for OCC. Daniel asked me if I had any extra and if I would ship it to him and he'll pay for shipping. I was like, yeah, I've got extra.
Yeah, just a couple.
200 bags in the closet in the fucking Bolen Media House. But Blue Chew sent me a bunch of Blue Chew, like a one subscription worth of Blue Chew or whatever. And I had never taken Viagra or any of the generic versions of it before.
You're not taking the Rhino pills?
No, don't need it, bro. Just rock hard all day, every day, bro, because the Bongos video suffices. But I took one of those. That shit is fucking wild. That's all I'm going to say. That the Blue Chew experience was memorable. Without going into detail, that's all. That's all I can really provide you with today. But
it didn't last longer than 4 hours?
No, I didn't
That's
have to call the emergency room. But I do feel like there's like a stigma for dudes. You don't want to have to rely on pills for your boners. Nobody does.
No.
But I'm just saying that was a grand old time. I had a blast. Shout out to Blue Chew. Come back, baby. We loved you. I'll do the ad reads with the jokes in them. Come on. And what was this call about? Oh, bongos. So They did first of all, they performed at the VMAs, this Bongos song, and the song's not bad, but it's no WAP. Like you were right. It was going to be hard to get to WAP status. And I didn't know the VMAs were still something that people pay a lot of attention to. Like, did your generation...
I personally do not watch like any
But did you
award
ever
shows.
watch the VMAs?
No.
Okay, so like when I was a kid, the VMAs were like must-watch TV. It was chaos every single time. They had great performances. It was always pretty wacky and good fun. Then the VMAs fell off because like MTV on the whole fell off. Like they don't even play fucking music videos anymore. But I saw so many people tweeting about the VMAs this year. It was like legitimately confusing. I think they must be paying people.
What, to like tweet about it?
Yeah, influencers. I'm
Yeah.
serious. There must have been some kind of campaign because I saw shit all over the place. GIFs of Taylor Swift fucking rocking out in the front row.
Yeah, I saw that video a lot. Her and Ice Spice.
I saw a fucking, dude, this is how much social media sucks. I saw a fucking photo yesterday of Taylor Swift at the VMAs on the red carpet that zoomed in on her nostrils
Oh, someone said she
to
was.
accuse her of being on cocaine.
Yeah.
And then somebody in the comments was like, I do coke. Those are regular boogers.
Yeah.
And then I turned off my phone for the rest of the day. But that's where we're at. And because we brought up Taylor Swift, there's no way she's dating Travis Kelce. I'm sorry. That just can't be real. How does anybody think she has time to maintain a relationship right now or even start one?
Yeah, she's on her Eras tour. Like she doesn't have time for Travis.
Just for the fans.
Yeah.
She has time for the fans only. And I think she's allowing this gossip to go on because it's just more Taylor Swift fuel.
Yeah, she's not gonna turn it down right now.
Right, but I don't think that's real. If you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I'm sorry. I don't think your boy is actually dating Taylor Swift.
But that might be a good thing for like they're probably happy about
Yeah,
that.
he doesn't need that either.
No.
That seems like it would be mad distracting, and then you end up being the subject of a multi-platinum album like 2 years later.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to hear music about Travis Kelce.
No, not really.
I don't think that's not what we need. But go watch Bongos. Make sure you support Megan Thee Stallion. I won't say support Cardi B because she freaks me out a little bit. But the Stallion is from Houston.
Did you see her
Yeah,
TikTok?
dude, I saw it.
Okay.
I saw it.
Yeah, go watch that too.
You know what you know what he's
Yeah,
talking
if you know,
about.
you know.
If what is it? IYKYK.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. Next call.
What's up, Ross? What's up, Kade? It's Andrew calling from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I was watching College Game Day this week and tried to keep an eye out. I know that we're supposed to have some kind of sign making a two-hole joke, and that's a little vague. I like to deal in absolutes. So I was thinking, what would be a better option than that? And we've got one. There's already one waiting for us, and it's easy. Stack good days. It's the year of no fear. We're supposed to live our lives trying to eliminate as much fear as possible. So why not put stack good days on there? Try to spread a little bit of positivity to everyone. And we've already got the memes going, so someone's going to look it up, Google it, be like, what the fuck is stack good days? They'll Google it. They'll hit the Ross Bolen podcast. It's a cycle. Everything works together. So that's my suggestion. You guys enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.
All right, this is a great call. That's a great call all around. But yeah, I like this. Look, it's simple. And by the way, I checked it. When you Google it, the Bolen Media Shop is like the second thing that pops up on there behind some
shit.
sponsored bullshit. Yeah, so like we've got good SEO with this, search engine optimization. Probably thanks to J-Bone if I had to guess. But no, that's a good call. I'm not confident it will lead people to the Ross Bolen podcast, but that's almost not the point. I don't think anybody watches College Game Day, sees a sign, whether it be the mugshot or like Ross Bolen's wife left him, and then goes, I got to figure out what this is from, and then go listen to that podcast. That's a lot of steps, a lot of jumps we're hoping for there. So it's more about it's for us.
Right.
It's for us. That's why I like the 2-hole one, because like it's an inside joke. And we already got one of those, and it does feel like people are super unlikely to go and make 2-hole signs.
Yeah. Well, game day is at Notre Dame, and they play Ohio State.
Yeah,
So
see,
it probably won't happen, but if someone is going to that game, could you please make a Marcus Freeman doesn't wash his 2-hole sign for me?
Okay, so let's get one of those.
That's a Notre Dame coach. So
don't you feel like Notre Dame will be pretty strict about what signs get into their Catholic ass game day? Maybe not.
Maybe not. I mean, it's game day.
Maybe we'll see those Jesus signs up again this week.
Or Jesus doesn't wash his 2-hole.
That they'll definitely let you take in. But let's do a Stat Good Days. Let's call that that's the one for the rest of the college football season that if you get that done, we'll be super happy with. Stat Good Days, spread the positivity, spread some love. I like that. That's a great call. And thank you for bringing up the Year of No Fear. I feel like we need to be checking in on that a little more often since we haven't spoken of it since I announced it in March or whenever that was. But yeah, Stat Good Days is a great one, and it's also a good time to remind everybody, especially here on Patreon, since y'all are so loyal. If you see one of because we're trying to cover as many bases as we can with the Stat Good Days, in terms of on Saturday we post a bunch of ones that are college football related that Kade has made. So if we do one for your school or you want one for your school, holler at us and request it. Tweet at Kade or Instagram, DM us or whatever, and I'll let him know. And if you see one that you like or that pertains to you or speaks to you or whatever in terms of the Stat Good Days memes or the Bad Vibes memes or You Are Not Alone memes, share them on your little story. Just throw them up there, Do the thing that people do. That's all we ask of you, to do the thing that people do. And watch the Bongos music video, of course. Next call.
What's up, Ross? Kade? I'm going to stay anonymous for this one just due to the nature of the call, but I was just calling because I had a quick question. I mean, mostly for Ross. I think, Kade, you've kind of talked about this a little bit, but so I'm kind of interested in getting into therapy. I know this has been kind of a major theme of the pod for a while, but I've never really been someone who's kind of, been in, I've never really considered myself to have, any mental health, problems or anything like that, but just recently with, life and having a lot more responsibilities and things like that going on, I feel like it might be helpful to talk to someone, but I honestly just have absolutely no clue where to start. So, if you could just kind of maybe give a quick crash course of how you found your therapist and things like that, I think that'd be really helpful. So, thanks, guys. Gang.
Yeah, that's a great question and one that I feel like a lot of people have. First of all, you don't have to have mental health issues to seek therapy or benefit from it. I think that's a really important thing for people to understand. I think it's certainly more essential if you have anxiety that is affecting your day-to-day life or depression or any other real serious issues, or you're going through a divorce or dealing with grieving the loss of someone or something like that, then therapy, I would say, is necessary. But you don't actually... I've said it before, and it kind of sounds like a joke, but I think everyone should be in therapy in some way, shape, or form, because talk therapy is super, super helpful to, unburden yourself from the things that kind of plague your mind, regardless of what you've got going on in life. We all have responsibilities. We all have either school or work or family or whatever it may be that you have to take care of on a daily basis. And therapy helps you do that more efficiently and effectively without being so bogged down by things. That would be my pitch on why people should go to therapy at all, because you don't really think about this, but especially as life gets busier and you get older, and now in my mid-30s with kids and being self-employed and whatnot, there's not a ton of time to talk about things with people. So I don't have lunches every week with friends where we talk about our lives or whatever. And even then, when people do have time for socializing, you typically spend it on bullshit. What TV shows are we watching? Did you watch The Big Game? You know what I mean? We're not what's troubling you in your life right now? What's really burdening your mind? What gives you anxiety when you lay your head on your pillow at night? And therapy is this sort of unbiased third party. Your therapist doesn't give a shit one way or the other. And I mean that in terms of they have a bunch of patients. They're not judging you. They don't know you in your personal life. So you can talk to them about anything. And that's really difficult when you first start. I don't think very many people go in and are just immediately an open book in therapy. But you get there in time as you get more comfortable. Now I'm at the point where I'll bring up whatever the fuck with my therapist. There's pretty much nothing that's off the table or that I'm embarrassed by, because I've been going long enough to understand that's what she's there for. the things that I don't want to talk to anybody else about, those are the things that I should be talking to my therapist about. But in terms of how to find one, like, I'll tell you how I found mine that I've been using for years now and that I think is like the best on the planet. I was going to this psychiatrist when I was on antidepressants back in the day. And this psychiatrist was not very good. She was not very good at her job. And the sessions were only 30 minutes, the psychiatrist. And like, it wasn't like good talk therapy. It was mostly like, are you about to kill yourself? Like, you know what I mean? She was basically like keeping tabs on like if I was derailing because she was the one prescribing me the medication, she has like some responsibility there. She recommended this therapist to me when I was like, I'm getting off of these antidepressants. I don't want to do this anymore. She was like, I think this therapist would be super helpful to you. So I started going, and it just so happened that this bad psychiatrist hit the nail on the head with this great therapist recommendation. But I had been to a few before this great one that I found, and it's honestly, it's a little bit like dating. You just go try. You find one, you do, a month worth of sessions. I'd say you probably have to do at least like 3 before you really get a feel for if they're good or bad. And if it doesn't work out, you don't like the vibe, or that particular person isn't doing it for you, you go try another one. You can use Google recommendations and word of mouth from other people or whatever, but I think word of mouth is pretty rare. So really you're going off of online reviews, and you just kind of have to try. You have to put yourself out there. And then the other thing I would say is that therapy's success is largely contingent on your ability to navigate a therapy session. So like, your therapist is not typically going to sit there and walk you through the session. Like, now let's talk about your parents. Now let's talk about work. Now let's talk about like what's on your mind when you're struggling or whatever. Like, you have to go in and proactively be ready to bring up the things that you want to talk about and unburden yourself from. So that's one thing I've learned. Like, my therapist is phenomenal, but I'm the one that's running the sessions. Like, she's there to either keep me on track or make sure I focus. Like, she'll be like, stay with that. If I'm talking about something that she thinks is important and then I try to switch subjects, she'll like bring me back to it. And so they're kind of like a guide in that way. But it's you talking the strong majority of the time. Like, we've had sessions that are 50 minutes long where I talk for 45 of the minutes. Like, she's very rarely saying anything at all because at this point, I'm kind of good at it, and I know what to do. And I'm also, I talk for a living, so it's not all that challenging for me. But I know for most people, that is a big challenge. Like, you get into therapy and it's like awkward because you're like, well, what the fuck do I talk about? Talk about what's bothering you or what pisses you off or frustrates you or makes you sad or mad or horny. The Bongos music video, whatever you need to bring up. Like, that's what therapy is for. And it's... Some sessions, like, it'll be blatantly obvious what I need to bring up. I'm like, I've been having a really hard week at home, and I'll talk about why. Sometimes it's work, sometimes it's play. Like, it just totally depends on what I've got going on, but there are sessions that I go in and I'm like, I've got nothing really current, so we'll just talk about, like, my childhood. And kind of, sometimes it's not always like bad shit. It's just like exploratory, like kind of going through experiences I've had and then tying them to, what that means about me today. And therapy is kind of like this journey toward getting to know yourself better is the way I would describe it. Like, the human beings, we're all very fucking busy. We don't spend a lot of time like focused on ourselves. At least that's always been the case with me. It's always been a struggle. I don't focus enough on myself, what I'm feeling, what I need, what's going on with me. And that's the time that therapy allots you. It gives you that opportunity to focus on yourself, talk through things that you are needing to get out. And then there's a person who you don't fucking know, who you're never going to have to see in the real world, who doesn't know your friends or your family, is not a coworker, that is there to absorb that information. And it's a tough job being a therapist. Like, I always think about this shit.
You probably hear some crazy
Dude,
shit.
Oh my God. There have been, like, when I was really going through it, when life was like in a very dark place for me and I was going to therapy, I would like crush my therapist's soul. Like, she would cry sometimes in our sessions. And when the session would end, I would think about it like, damn, now she has to go do somebody else. Like, what a brutal, miserable fucking job. And frankly, I think that's why they make the money they make. It's why it's not cheap typically to do therapy, because that's tough, man, to sit there and like, you have to be a certain kind of person. The same way you got to be a certain type of person to be like a surgeon or a teacher. Like, there's these jobs that you have to be, or a podcaster. Like, you got to like to talk, you know what I mean? So it's like, there's a certain type of person that is set up to be a therapist. I could never do it. Like, I'm an empath. I'm highly affected by other people's emotions, and I like soak them in like a sponge. I could not sit there and listen to people throw out the worst shit in their lives and then have to like soak it in. That would fucking literally kill me. So, but yeah, you kind of just have to like, you do your best to find a starting point. Doing Google reviews or whatever it may be, or there's a lot of services now. We've had sponsors that provide the opportunity to match up with therapists or whatever, and then you try a few sessions, do what I just said, like come in ready to work, because it is work for sure. They're not going to do it for you. That's a thing that I was very like, I didn't understand when I started therapy. I would go in like, all right, now fix me, like tell me the things I need to talk about so that I'll be better. And that's not really how it works. You have to be the one that's willing to like put yourself out there in the same way that you do with dating, right? Like, you can't just like show up to a date and sit there like, all right, entertain me, and then let's have sex. That's probably not going to work. It might work sometimes. But you got to be willing to go in and talk and say what you want to say. And yeah.
I love how you threw yourself in there with the surgeons and teachers and stuff.
Surgeons, teachers,
therapists,
firefighters,
and podcasters.
Yeah, obviously heroes.
Yeah, all the heroes.
All the heroes.
But yeah, I've been doing therapy for quite a while now, and I've been through a couple of different therapists myself, and I think I'm finally landing on one that I really like, which is huge. And I just like went through one of the websites, and I was like, all right, let me try to find someone that kind of like aligns with me, matches up with like the stuff I want to talk about. And he's been great for me so far. And like you said, you do have to go in there like ready to know what you want to talk about.
Yeah. Here's what's on my mind this week.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That's super helpful.
And then also you might get some homework. Do the homework. I'm not the best about it.
Yeah.
But it's important to do things outside of just the sessions as well.
Yeah. One of the things I've found super helpful in terms of like homework is I have sessions once a week. I go every Thursday for like, or at least a year now. I started going every week. I used to do twice a month, so every 2 weeks. But then when we were gearing up for my son to be born, I was like, all right, I gotta get my shit together. Just like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I need to be fucking ready for like this next stage of life. So I started going every week, and then I realized how helpful it was to me. And so I've stuck with it. But sometimes like 2 days after a session, like on a Saturday, some shit will happen that I'm like, I'm going to need to talk about this. And I'll make a note in my phone, in my little notes section, so that I remember, because I've got another 5 days before that next session. Lord knows enough things are going to happen in life for me to forget. And my memory is not the best. So I'll write it down. Like, this is a good thing for me to bring up in therapy. So like if you come up with something that you think would be good and you're not, going to remember, fucking write it down and take a little notebook in, or use your iPhone or whatever you need to do to make sure you cover the things that occur.
Yeah. See, I just, like, whatever I need to talk about is just, like, in my mind, literally until the next session. Like, that's just, like, something happened last night that, like, I know I'm going to talk about in my next session. I'm just, like, I just get to, like, live with this until I go to therapy again.
Oh, just write it down. It's better. Because then you don't feel like you have to hold it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, when you put something down on paper or put it in your phone even, paper's better. Because fuck phones. But but that just gives you a chance to, like, once you read it, you write it, you read it, and then it's like something about that is helpful too. Which also my therapist always recommends I do journaling, and I never do it. I
thought about doing it too, but
it's supposed to help so much.
I
don't have the fucking energy, because it is work, man. That's like, you have to motivate yourself to do it somehow. And this is one of the areas I still struggle, is like, I know I would benefit from journaling. I can't make myself do it. Funny thing, my wife has given me probably 4 or 5 different journals over the last few years. I have used 0 pages of any of them. She's just like, maybe this one will fucking get him. Like, gives me another one. And some of them have like a setup, like, what did you do today? And I'm like, nah, I just like close it. So there's a bookshelf in my office at home that's just littered with journals, unused journals. Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels too much like a diary. I'm just like, I can't.
I know. That's how I am too, man. I don't know.
But maybe something like you were talking about, like how it has like kind of like prompts or whatever.
Yeah.
That might be a little helpful. Like I think my therapist sent me something like that, and I just didn't do it.
See, it's tough. It's really easy to go to therapy and feel like, well, that was it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything else.
I feel so much better now.
Yeah. I'm fixed.
I'm all good.
Fucking good. Sometimes that happens with me, man, where I'll get out of a session and I'm like, oh, that was so fucking, like, I made so much progress. I don't even know if I'm going to need this anymore.
Yeah.
And then there will be like a week. My therapist had a vacation this summer, so we didn't have a session one week. And I went a 2-week period between. And I thought I was going to die. It was awful. I fucking hated it so much, dude. When she got back, I was like, oh, thank God. But yeah, dude, it is challenging. For sure, every aspect of it, from finding one that you really click with or enjoy. Like Kade mentioned, he's got a man therapist. Like, I have never been able to do that. I had one male psychiatrist back in the day, and I did not vibe with that at all. Like, unburdening myself to a female is a fuckload easier for some reason for me than it is the other way around. So everybody has their own personal preferences on what they're looking for in a therapist, and you just kind of have to be willing to put yourself out there, try some different people. When you find one you really like, it's like finding a great mechanic. Like, you fucking hold on to that person for dear life because it's rare and it's so valuable. But yeah, good call. Good question. Anything else, Kade?
No, that's about it. You also might cry a lot. I know I always do.
Oh, dude, it's like one of the biggest pieces of therapy, I think, is that, like, my last session, I could tell she really wanted me to cry. Like, she was like, she does this thing sometimes where I'll be in therapy and we'll be talking about something heavy and she'll do a big breath. She'll go, and I can tell she's trying to get me to release.
Yeah.
And at this point I was like, shut up. Just like kept talking. But at the end of the session, she goes, sometimes if you need to, you could just come in here and we don't even have to talk. You could just cry. And I was like, defensive about it. I was like, I do a pretty good job of crying when I need to cry. I let myself cry. I find time for crying. It's like I'm not trying to not cry. And in the back of my head, I was like, yeah, you definitely were this session, dude.
Whenever like I'm having trouble like coming up with like something to say, he's like, you're speaking with your head and not your heart.
Yeah.
And so I speak from my heart,
and then you cry. Yeah. Every fucking time. Yeah. That's such a funny barrier too. When you're in therapy, there have been sessions where I was like, I treated that like a podcast. Like I was all upstairs. None of it was like really like what my soul is dealing with. It was just like mental, like up top, like what could I talk about to pass the time, not like what is on my heart. Mm-hmm. And the ones where you actually open up and talk about the real shit, yeah, they'll get you every time. Yeah. They'll get you every time. And it's such a hard sell for men especially, but when I cry in a therapy session, afterward I feel the best I have ever felt. Like that's when I feel like maybe not immediately afterward.
No, I feel like shit after.
It may be the next morning, but like I typically feel like there's a release there for me because you cry, especially for men, like when we hold things in. We don't want to like, one of the things we deal with is that society tells us like it's not okay to be emotional. Like you have to be strong and stoic and what does Tony Soprano say? What happened to the strong silent type, like Gary Cooper? And that's how you feel like you're supposed to be as a dude. Like you're not supposed to show weakness. Like crying is a weakness. It's not. It's the opposite. It makes you weak when you need to cry and you keep it in. And eventually it turns into shit like panic attacks or depression or whatever. When you don't deal with your emotions in a healthy way, they will make you sick. Like that's how it's like, it's, there's physical comparisons, but like, it's like if you don't take your diet seriously, like you're going to get sick more often. If you don't take your mental diet seriously and like allow yourself to feel and let out tears when you need to, that shit will fuck you up. But that can always be a little awkward, especially the first time. Because like I said, it's like you don't know this person outside of therapy.
Yeah.
It's your therapist. And you're like crying.
I'll try to hold it back too.
And they're like, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it out. Let it out, man.
This is a safe space.
It's a safe space. Yeah. Therapy rules, though, as I always say, like I couldn't more highly recommend it. It's been very, very crucial to me. And I know a lot of people, like even there's some dudes that are like my best friends, and I'm like, man, I know you're never going to go, but like, God, you would benefit so much from therapy. And some people will do it. Some people just outright refuse to, and that's a harder life to me. Like, I couldn't do it. It would break me. I need it. It's an outlet that is absolutely necessary for me. So, yeah, you just have to go try some and see if you can find one that you click with. And when you do, make a routine out of it. Figure out how many times a month makes sense for you or what you can afford or whatever, and go for it. Yeah. All right, now go subscribe on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast to hear the rest of that episode from last week, plus this week's ad-free exclusive episode, and over 100 more premium, exclusive, ad-free pods there on Patreon, featuring hotline calls from listeners, and the strong majority of them. Patreon, patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. To close out today's show, a reminder that September is Suicide Prevention Month. Here on RBP, we often emphasize the importance of mental health, as it is something all of us struggle with at times. Certainly, Kade and I have both had our share of mental health issues, and it's important that we acknowledge the importance of mental health. As such, today, I'm going to share some suicide statistics and facts provided by @RealDepressionProject on Instagram, which is one of the many mental health accounts I follow at this point. Here are some of those facts. We lose over 800,000 people a year to suicide. It is the 10th biggest cause of death worldwide. Two of the leading factors that contribute to suicide are isolation and feeling like a burden. Speaking up when suicidal isn't attention seeking. Having mental health issues doesn't make you weak. It also says to help suicide prevention, please check in on your loved ones, remind them they are not a burden, share the things you love about them, why you're grateful to have them, and encourage others to do the same. Mental health can be invisible, so this matters for everyone. Also, I would just note, @RealDepressionProject is a great follow on Instagram for more mental health support, statistics, advice, and strategies. I subscribe to their emails, so I get a daily depression quote that really helps me when I'm going through a rough patch with anxiety or depression. I highly recommend their stuff. The Depression Project is their like official organization name. They've got a website, they've got books, but @RealDepressionProject is their Instagram handle that I follow and recommend you do too as well. Be there for each other all of the time, obviously, but especially in September as we continue to harp on the importance of suicide awareness. And if you need help, ask for help. Be there for yourself. And remember, you are not alone. That will do it for today's show, but we've got some birthday shout-outs on our way out the door. Happy birthday to Nick Van Nostrand and TJ Monroe. If you want a birthday shout-out, holler at me on any of the different platforms, email addresses. There's a lot of ways. Figure one out. Please support our sponsors by hitting the links in the description of this episode and using our dedicated codes. That's how we pay the bills here at Bolen Media. Obviously, today we had mybookie.ag, where you use code Ross when you make your deposit to get a welcome bonus, and liquidiv.com, where you use code Ross at checkout to get 20% off anything when you shop Better Hydration today at liquidiv.com using code Ross. You can find links, again, to all our sponsors for today's episode in the description below. To check out our other shows, go to bolenmedia.com. We've got Jared J-Bone Borislow's Formula Bone with a recap and preview of every single F1 race all season long, except for the next two, I think.
Yeah, he's not doing...
He's not doing a recap of the one that's this weekend,
Yeah.
and he's not doing a recap or preview of the one after that.
Right.
Because he's going to be getting married this weekend. Give J-Bone your congratulations on social media, and then he'll be on his honeymoon. Other than that, though, Formula Bone with the best F1 coverage in the game. Follow at Formula Bone on every social media platform. And subscribe on youtube.com/@FormulaBone to support J-Bone in his quest to become the world's largest F1 influencer. We've also got Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. If you love TV and film, started out as the #1 Game of Thrones podcast in the realm, now covering a variety of different things as we are in this weird drought period with the strikes occurring in Hollywood. But we're still having a blast on OCC, as it is known, so subscribe to Oysters, Clams, and Cockles as well. If you're a Houston sports fan, check out Banging the Can wherever you get the Ross Bolen podcast. Also hit bolenmedia.com/shop to grab yourself some RBP merch. Follow Kade and I on social media. Kade, where can people follow you?
You can follow me at Kade Orris on all the social media platforms.
K.
With a K, yeah.
With an O, too.
And an O, yeah. And an A and D and an E and a ORR.
Several letters.
IS,
yeah. Good letters.
Yeah.
Strung together there. At WR Bolen for me on social media. This episode of RBP is presented by Bolen Media. Video of today's show was produced by Kade Orris. Go to youtube.com/@the-Ross-Bolen podcast for full video of every episode, plus funny clips as well in the form of YouTube shorts. We will be back next week with another public sponsor-based episode available to wherever you're listening now or watching. And then again on Friday on patreon.com/Ross Bolen podcast with another ad-free exclusive episode, just like we do every week. Get in there. I don't want to strip. I'm too old. I'm not as nimble as I once was. I don't have the flexibility that Kade does. You know? You guys should see him. His moves.
Yeah. Hire me sometime.
Yeah.
I can show you.
Yeah. Until next time, peace be with you, and also with you.